What up, everyone? This is the Twice Over Movies podcast, and I'm your host, Faraz. Today we got another listener suggestion, and it's Crazy Stupid Love. If you have any suggestions, hit us up at the Twice Over on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, and we will take it in consideration. Make sure you are following and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our episodes. Recently, we have done films such as The Fountain and The Lives of Others, and other films that we did earlier, such as Birds of Passage, First Reformed, and Incendies, all of which are highly recommended by us, so definitely check them out. For today, we got myself, Farhan, and Yusuf for our preview of Crazy Stupid Love. Yeah, so Crazy Stupid Love, guys. We are doing a chick flick at the suggestion of a listener, that listener being Sidra.
Sup, Sidra?
Her reasoning was pretty much that we don't do enough chick flicks. Now, she's not wrong about that. We are four guys, so maybe it's not something that's on our radar too often.
But we appreciate the suggestion.
Definitely, yeah.
And we are choosing not to do it. So actually, the movie we're talking about today is going to be Fast and I'm just kidding. We appreciate the suggestion, Sidra,
awesome.
But
Yeah. I like the name of this movie, though. I like the name of Crazy Stupid Love. Because I think it's very to the point of what this movie is going to be about, right?
yeah, I actually saw that the working title for this movie was essentially something like unnamed marriage conflict movie or something like that. Like it was like,
serious?
yeah, like that was the title they were gonna go with before they changed it. And so,
God.
but you're right, it still carries like a very simple description of what you are about to see, right? And so they
The
stuck
craziest
with
thing
that.
is this is the prequel to Tenet. That's just borderline. That's the craziest part about this whole
So
thing.
I used to always confuse this movie, because like you said, the title, Crazy Stupid Love, I thought like Eat, Pray, Love and this were like the same or one or the other. Like, I had no idea which one was which.
Crazy Stupid Love, Eat, Pray, Love, Crazy Rich Asians. It's all actually one universe. Yeah, it is like three simple words, and it is very on the nose about what you're about to see, right? You know, I think this is a pretty good suggestion because this is a movie that a lot of people view as, and it is a rom-com, but it's a very popular one. So, I mean, it's worth saying, like, if we're going to look at rom-coms, let's look at some of, like, the elite of that, or what is viewed as kind of, consensus, a positive experience, and let's see how that breaks down, right? I think that's an interesting exercise. So, yeah, thank you, Sidra, for the suggestion.
So I will preface this before we get into our scores. Our whole scoring mechanism that we have is supposed to quantify in an objective way, like what a movie is good at and not so good at. And I'm not sure for like a rom-com like this, it really exemplifies how entertaining a movie can be.
I think that's exactly right, because, an overall score might not be indicative of how good someone might think the movie is, right? Because it all depends on what you appreciate in a movie. And that is the function of the modular, scoring, right? You see by category, but a movie could be, a 0 in one category and amazing in 3 categories, and that's still a very good movie. It's all dependent on what they were going for, as a work of film, right?
What your taste is, what your mood is for a movie at that time. That's the whole point. But that's also another reason that you come back for the discussion, so you can, I guess, better understand what we did like or didn't like about the movie.
I've got a Sidra-related movie story that I have to tell. There was a time where I think we were watching a very, twisty movie called Shutter Island, which I'm sure you all have probably seen or at least heard of. And basically, I floated the theory that the ending was ambiguous and it could have meant several different things. And I was berated by another individual for my stupid opinion. And this went on for several minutes of arguing before Sidra literally stood up and had my back and was like, "You are being super mean to Yusuf. You need to be more respectful." And so basically, that's the only reason I took this movie seriously, was because Sidra had my back the last time I watched a movie with her, and got to repay the favor. So here we are.
Are you crying right now?
I've been crying since we started. This is actually my crying voice. I haven't recorded an episode yet, I don't think, without crying. So
That's funny.
All right.
There's a lot of emotions.
So Crazy Stupid Love. It's starring Steve Carell. Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone. You have a character named Cal who's played by Steve Carell. He's going through a surprise divorce, and he's basically trying to figure out how he will move on. In his
Surprise,
life.
divorce.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I
much
mean, it's
that's what
what, the
happened.
second line of the movie or something?
Yeah.
All right, so narrative, I gave it a 75.
I went with a 55.
I'm at a 70. It's a fun story. Let's start there, right? I thought it was an enjoyable story, and it's a pretty tight plot. I felt like there's very little wasted storyline in this movie, and they do a good job of just intertwining things. Not always true of rom-coms.
Yeah. Well, that's all. So what you're saying is very, very, very apt description for rom-coms, but also direction is never a strong point in movies like this, you know? So
Yeah. Especially when you consider, like, the comedic aspect of things. We can already, we know going in that Steve Carell has a bit of latitude to do what he does on screen, and he does it. But to your point, that's not the direction that's coming through. It's really just his, his charisma. That goes for a lot of characters in this movie.
All right, I agree with both of you. Let's go on to the writing. I gave this a 65.
interesting. I gave it an 80.
I'm at an 85. So I'm riding the highs with each of you.
Yeah. So, and again, typical for probably, I wouldn't even say typical for rom-coms, more typical for comedy. You're going to find writing scores to be probably higher, right? Because there's a bunch of comedians writing the script, and it's going to be funny. And there's a bunch of moments in this movie that are laugh out loud hilarious because they're executed well, and because it's written well, It's written like a joke. You guys agree?
I think so. I had problems kind of with, as the movie went on and they tried to, basically wrap things up. I felt like, there was a bit of convenience coming through. They used writing.
Yeah.
They used the writing to do that. Again, it's a rom-com. There's going to be kind of those really iconic rom-com moments, which are a bit over the top sometimes. But yeah, like just it was very clever writing at some points. And there's scenes that I want to talk about where they did really clever things to kind of catch you off guard, even as an audience sitting in kind of just a fun time, entertaining movie. Like there were certain things that I really did appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I do think that there are some clever moments that raise the writing up a little bit, and it is funny, but there's also some ridiculous stuff in there. And
100%.
I guess I wasn't really enjoying it. I was just like, wait, what? Why did he say that? Why is that part of the script here? I don't know. Like it.
Yeah.
It's,
No, 100,
again, it's
100%.
common for rom-coms or just comedies in general.
And that's what's kind of bringing your score down, right? Just kind of, there were some typical rom-com stuff, which is, not the most sophisticated, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to sound too snobby, but that's really what it is.
Yeah.
No, 100. It is.
Yeah, that has no reflection on kind of the entertainment value of this movie. It's simply looking at it objectively. There is more high. It is what it is. There's more high quality, high brow stuff that is out there, obviously. So.
All right, so for the acting, we talked about Steve Carell. I gave this an 80.
80.
85. Really good cast. Really good acting, I thought. Starting with Steve Carell, he's a good main man, and he does a lot of comedy without being. I was comparing him to a lot of the stuff that he does generally. This is a more serious role than a lot of his stuff, right? I mean, you don't want to say he's just Michael Scott, but like this is less ridiculous than that, and it's more of a nuanced and deep character.
He's done some serious stuff, and even in those serious roles, he does little things that just make you crack up.
Yeah, and I felt that here too. Like even playing a character who's going through it, right, straight up going through it. He makes you laugh, and he does it by projecting on the other characters in the room. Love it.
So you know why he's able to do that? Because he has improv experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people like him, even like Amy Poehler, Tina Fey, obviously they have improv experience. Even Stephen Colbert, Ben Schwartz, a bunch of people have improv experience. They're able to do things so naturally and just off the cuff, like with zero. You don't need to write anything for them. They will make things funny.
There's a lot for Steve Carell that where his reaction is what gets the laugh more than what he says.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because I've got 85s for writing and acting, but when you look at it through that lens, there's probably a lot of unscripted stuff that made its way into this movie, and so that gives less credit to the script in a way. So yeah, it's totally true though. Another thing that I would be remiss not to point out that this is like, I don't know, like the 8th movie that has Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. I've actually read that Emma Stone basically did a movie with Ryan Gosling and was like, you and me, we're going to be like a power couple in acting. Like, we're going to be one of those iconic couples. I can't remember the example she gave, but she gave kind of an older, actor and actress who just, were intertwined throughout their careers. She wants that. And, they've done so many movies together. They really do have really good dynamics, really good chemistry on the set, I feel. And so that makes it very easy.
You don't see too much of it actually in this movie compared to the other ones. I don't think that I would have agreed to watch this movie if they were not in it.
So let's, the elephant in the room. You two are Emma Stone stans, right?
We are Emma Stone stans. That's right. We are stans of Emma Stone.
No, that's far on. I'm an objective admirer of Emma Stone's acting.
An objective admirer of Emma Stone. Great. I'm gonna remember that phrase.
And Ryan Gosling too. Ryan Gosling, the way that we were talking about Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling does a lot of the same stuff. And he doesn't necessarily have improv experience that I know about, but he's a really underrated actor in my opinion.
You know what's funny? He started out like, do you remember his character in Remember the Titans?
Oh yeah.
Look at where he's ended up in terms of like his persona. You know what I mean? Like, he went from this like, whatever, this little scrawny kid who couldn't stay on the field, and he's become like,
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling. So I mean, he's got range, that's for sure, right? And so he can do all those little things. And you're right, especially him playing off of Steve Carell in this movie. It was great to watch the two of them going back and forth. So he has a lot of those same skills.
Yeah. When you think about Ryan Gosling, you don't typically think about range. And I wouldn't say that this is out of range for him. This is perfectly just right on range for what you think Ryan Gosling would do. And I don't hate it. I don't hate that I see this character all the time. He's really good at being charming and smooth. What do you guys got for themes?
I got 70.
I'm at a 70.
70.
Okay.
Cool. We all agree.
I think the themes are simple here, right? It's a rom-com. There's some basic themes, and we don't need to say a whole lot much there. There were some interesting thematic elements in terms of commentary, but it felt sufficient.
I want to hear about that. In the discussion.
We will discuss in the discussion. It's aptly named. Our discussion episode is actually called Crazy Stupid Discussion.
I like it.
All right, aesthetics, guys. Here I gave it a 60.
I'm at a 70.
I am at a 50.
Okay.
Literally, the only note I have in aesthetics is what? Question mark. So I don't remember anything too crazy.
It felt like okay to me, and again, that's not going to be a strong suit in a rom-com. Pretty. I felt like this is something Fahad would say, and like I'm gonna say it, and he's gonna be like, "Dude, stop trying to do my job." Pretty warm colors throughout, and I think that obviously that carries a little bit in terms of the tone of the movie. It serves its purpose. There was a few shots that I liked. I thought actually they did a pretty good job of using tight camera angles to bring in comedy from off screen. And I would love to discuss that further later. But there's some moments where you can tell they chose the camera angle perfectly so that they could have like some off screen comedy that would play into the scene. So that was one thing that I noticed. So props for getting some shots like that in there. I think that's pretty clever. And again, like that's a unique way to use comedy. I think the best comedic directors, they know how to do those things.
Cool.
Yeah, I will say, as far as comedies go, I don't think immersion into the movie for the audience is like an objective whatsoever.
Yeah, it's not a problem either, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not a problem either, because you're not supposed to be part of the movie, really. You are literally just watching and enjoying it for what it is. Our scores in general go. Acting is what we scored the highest. Averages out to an 83. Themes and writing we felt pretty good about with a 76 average. Narrative and aesthetics, we kind of dropped low. And narrative, I think, is low mainly because of the direction. Mm-hmm. And that's mainly probably because, again, comedies maybe don't require the same level of direction that other types of movies do.
Right.
As far as the story on its own, I think we all kind of said it was fun. It was enjoyable. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
How did we feel overall about this movie? Each of us, for us, like what's my overall score?
Yusuf, you are at a 76.
Okay.
So you kind of like it a decent amount, I think. I have a 70. Farhan has a 67.
Yeah, I mean, we're not that far. We're all around. We're circling around average, and I think again, objective lens, it is average. I think entertainment value, it's fairly higher than that. Take that for what it's worth.
Our scores are we're looking at this movie critically as a film. You know, in each of these categories, we're comparing this to the best of the best. So obviously, this is exactly what you would expect for. This is good for a rom-com. A 67 score for me? That's good for a rom-com.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think we're saying that this is if not elite, it's like upper tier for rom-coms, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And those have their, those have their place and they have their purpose, and I really enjoy a lot of them. And so I would say this is a really well put together rom-com, and there is a lot of thought that went into it, more than your typical one. So I actually felt very positive about this movie. Granted, it's going to fall on the scale where it does, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Exactly.
My personal view is I actually like rom-coms, and I'm not sure if I like this movie as much as you guys, at least the way you guys are talking about it. I guess we can get into that into our discussion. It was okay. It was okay, really. I didn't think it was that great. It was funny just enough to keep me watching, but it was not that funny.
That is my sentiment. I'm not gonna tell other people to watch this movie personally, but I didn't mind having to watch it. That's what I'll say.
Okay,
I think that's right. For us, though, if you didn't really enjoy this movie, I think you're crazy. And I'm stupid, and Farhan is love, and we will see you on the other side of the jump.
All right. That's a good segue.
Dude, you're just killing it with these whips you got, man.
Thanks for listening to this production of The Twice Over. If you haven't already, subscribe and follow wherever you get your podcast. And remember to support us on Patreon or by sharing the podcast with a friend. Feel free to contact us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at The Twice Over, or email us at comments@thetwiceover.com. All of the music you heard is from Amerigo Gazaway. Check him out on Bandcamp and Spotify.